right, we are back on the record. Appearances are as they were before. We'll bring the jury out for cross. Go ahead.
For that, Your Honor, can we address the subject matter jurisdiction, please?
No, not right now.
Is that a judicial determination, Your Honor?
Thank you. Can I just take it? I'm gonna lose the paper.
All rise.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Mr. Brooks, do you have any questions for this witness? Go ahead.
On the evening of November 21st, 2021, do you recall what officer conducted your interview?
I do not recall.
Can you recall if it was a detective or just a regular officer?
I do not recall.
You mentioned earlier in testimony that that there was a side street where there could have been an exit out of the parade route provided. Is that fair to say?
That is fair to say, yes.
Do you recall if that side street was barricaded in any way?
I do not recall.
Do you recall if there was another side street on the opposite side of the street?
The other side of the street has a plaza, so there's an open space, but it's not a traffic, for car traffic street.
Do you recall what that street would be used for if not for traffic?
It's an open space where people who have been on the shops on Main Street can go down to the Riverwalk.
Do you know if cars can park there?
They may not.
So it's basically like just a walkway.
Correct.
From what you recall, can you estimate the speed of the vehicle that you saw that day?
I'm not good at estimating speeds, but it felt fast as it went past me. It felt like it was accelerating.
And you stated you was relatively close to the vehicle when it passed you?
Yes, I was.
Were you injured in any way?
I was not. Fortunately, I'd moved just in time.
Do you recall if anybody that may have been directly next to you was injured in any way?
They were not.
So would it be fair to say that everyone in your immediate area was not struck?
Depends on how you want to define immediate, but the first 4 rows of the band, no one was struck because at that point everyone had run away.
I was referring to, I guess I wasn't clear enough on immediate. I was referring to directly next to you.
Directly next to me, no.
Were you able to get a license plate number of the vehicle?
I was not.
Did you notice any tinted windows to the vehicle?
It's 11 months ago, but I believe there were in the back, but I don't want to say yes or no for sure on that.
Did you see anyone else in the vehicle?
I did not.
Could you see the back seats of the vehicle?
I did not look at the back seats.
Could you see the passenger seat of the vehicle?
I could.
Do you recall anyone being in the passenger seat?
I did not see anyone in the passenger seat.
Did you initially hear any sounds before you realized that something was wrong?
The band had just started playing, and so I was concentrating on listening to the sounds of the band, and then all of a sudden it was just the sound of chaos as the car came through the band.
So it would be fair to say that it was pretty loud.
Where I was at that moment, yes, because I was directly in the middle of the band.
Would you say extremely loud or moderately loud?
I would say moderately loud, and as the band director, my job was listening to the sound of the band, and so I could give the students feedback when we got back to school. So that's where my focus was.
From your estimation, do you think it would have, the sounds from the band and the people and just the parade itself, would that at any time impaired you from hearing everything that was going on?
Everything, likely, but for example, it would have still been, it wasn't so loud I would have heard a car horn. That I would have been able to hear.
I wasn't referring to that.
Okay, I was just asking because you were asking volumes, and so I couldn't have heard everything. I couldn't have heard something soft, but something that loud as an example.
So just to be clear, from your opinion, you think you would have been able to hear a horn?
I believe I would have.
Even at the same time listening for the band notes, as you say, you have to give them feedback when you got back to school?
Because that would have been an unexpected sound, so that would have been something that would have stood out in my memory.
It would have been something that draws your attention.
Exactly.
So in your opinion, do you estimate it would have been hard to hear any screaming or anything of that nature?
We started, as soon as the screaming started, we did hear that immediately. Because as soon as the screaming started, the students stopped playing, and so that loudness...
One second.
I'm sorry.
Do you recall how long you had been actively participating in the parade at the time of the incident?
That had been my first year back as the director of band for a while, but I marched in that parade in high school myself. And I've attended on the years that I was not teaching, so it's probably my 40th time plus at that parade.
I think you probably misunderstood.
Okay.
Well, that's still, I don't have to ask that question. I was referring to how long you had been marching at
that time.
At that point in.
Probably, blocks all change size pretty quickly in Waukesha, but we had been going for about 4 blocks. We were about at the halfway point of the parade route.
Did you notice anything amiss up until that point?
Up until that point, no.
Did you hear any law enforcement radios that may have alerted you to
No.
something being wrong?
No.
So it'd be fair to say, as far as you know, everything was pretty much standard.
Up until the moment, yes.
You stated in your report that you were walking backwards facing the students.
No, I was walking forward because the students near me were walking backwards. So I was the eyes in front for the students who were marching backwards.
So is it possible the report could have misquoted what you said?
I have not seen the report.
The report that I have would be page 2.
I don't have that in front of me.
Would you like to see it?
Sure. So I see it's not in, there we go. So I was facing forward, and then as soon as I heard sounds, I turned around and started facing backwards at that time to see what was happening. So my direction of movement until the incident started was forward, and then once I heard unexpected sounds coming from the back of the van, then I turned around.
Do you recall the statement that's in the report, though? She stated that she was walking backwards facing the students. Do you recall that?
I do not. I guess I recall, yes, I must have. I don't recall this exact moment. I've spoken to lots of officers.
Do you recall thinking that the SUV was driving right at you?
It felt like it for a moment, yes.
And you stated that you initially started to chase after the vehicle, was briefly, but then stopped.
That was my instinct at the moment because I don't know why. That was my instinct at the moment.
Mr. Brooks, are you done with the statement?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, no problem. I'll take it down.
Would it be fair to say that the unexpectedness of the event may have clouded everything that you recall about the event?
I think there's certain aspects of the event that I have great clarity for because it was such a life-changing thing. There are certain moments that are very clear in my memory. Then there's other aspects that maybe other people noticed that maybe 11 months later that are less clear because some of the other more graphic details are so strong in my memory.
Sorry.
It would be fair to say, though, that, or would it be, rather, I'm sorry about that, would it be fair to say that you don't recall everything from that November 21st
It was
evening?
That would be accurate.
To your recollection, would you have left out any details in your report?
No.
Were you able to see any license plate number on the vehicle?
I was not.
Do you recall about how far you initially had the reaction to chase after the vehicle, but then turn back to your students?
It was just a few steps.
Do you recall exactly where you were at
I was
in the parade?
in terms of the order of the parade.
In terms of what intersections you may have been at?
I was personally right outside of Martha Merrill's bookstore.
From the video footage, there were clearly a lot of spectators or people that weren't actively involved in the parade.
Yes.
Did you at any time see any of the spectators struck?
I did not.
After the incident, did you see any news reports about the incident?
I did.
Did any news reports that you saw jog anything to your memory?
Not especially. Maybe just showed different things that happened that evening in different parts of Main Street where I wasn't, but
So-
nothing changed my recollections of the South Band experience.
So it would be fair to say that what was reported on the news, you kind of pretty much already knew?
Correct.
Did you recall the news reporting how many people may have been hurt?
Yes.
From what you recall and observed, do you think that those said news reports were accurate?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained. It's not relevant.
About how long did you stay at the parade after the incident?
I did not have my watch with me that evening, but we were there for quite a while because the students had scattered, and so it took us a while, as well as waiting to make sure all the students that were injured were taken by first responders. And they were overwhelmed, so it took a while for first responders to get to everyone.
So it would be fair to say that by the time you actually left, it was nightfall.
That is correct.
Do you recall the power going out?
That did not happen till we were back at the high school.
So you had already left the
Correct.
parade route by the time there was no power.
Correct.
Do you recall what time you left?
I don't recall. It would be in the bus company records, but
No further questions.
Thank you. Any redirect?
Just some brief clarification, and then I'd like to show one video, Your Honor, if that's all right. There were a few mentions during cross-examination about your report in quotation marks.
yes.
You didn't actually sit down and type up a police report after the parade, did you?
No, I did not.
Irrelevant.
Overruled. She may answer. Can you state your answer again?
I did not.
If there is an objection, let me rule
Oh, I'm
first.
sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Thank you. you met with police officers after the fact and provided interviews, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And then, do you know whether they wrote police reports summarizing those statements?
If they did, I did not see those.
Okay. I would like to play for you exhibit number 22 one more time. And I'd like to play it for the jury as well, Your Honor, if that's all right.
Objection, you saw this video numerous times at this point.
Are you going to play the whole thing or parts of it?
The witness was asked about whether she heard a horn honking, and so I'm simply going to
She was
play.
not asked if she heard a horn honking. She was asked, did the sound of the parade.
I recall what was asked. I'm sorry, tell me again why you want the jury to see this, that question? Because she was not asked specifically about a horn. She offered something.
In response to a question about what she heard. I simply want to play this video to see if the witness can hear the sound of a horn honking.
Objection. What's the relevancy at this point? She never was asked the question, Your Honor.
I'll sustain the objection.
Okay. I don't have anything else for this witness. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You may step down.
Thank you.
Your next witness, please.
Your Honor, the state calls Kyle Jewell.
Good afternoon, sir. If you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is to my right, upper riser. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand, and my clerk, Teresa, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. First thing I will have you do is to state your first and last names for the record and spell each.
Kyle Jewell, Kylejewell.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Jewell.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Jewell, on the day of November 21, 2021, did you attend the Waukesha Christmas parade in downtown Waukesha?
Yes.
Did you come with friends and family members?
Yes, with family.
About how many people were in your group, sir?
Probably 7 or 9. I would have to count them
That's
to really
okay.
get the accurate number.
Okay. And where did you set up along the parade route to watch the festivities?
Yeah, so we were right in between those new apartments and Alo Chocolate. I don't know what road it was next to.
Okay. And so you were right on Main Street, correct?
Yeah.
And new apartments are like 4 or 5 stories high, is that right?
Yep, right
Okay.
next to Alo Chocolate.
Okay, and on the north side of the road that would be?
Correct.
Okay. As you were sitting there, what do you recall happening, sir?
Yeah, so we were watching the parade. Had a bunch of kids in front of us, my kids, some other family members, and at one point, you know, we had I believe it was the Remax hot air balloon truck coming to the left of us, and then we start hearing just some people yelling, "Stop that car!" And the next thing you know, from my left, going down the road, you see a red SUV just go straight through the parade. And where we were sitting at that time was the Waukesha South Band, and just drove right through Waukesha South Band and just continued going.
Did you see any people being struck by the SUV?
Yes.
Did you see any objects flying in the air?
I didn't see any objects flying in the air. I saw the red SUV going over people.
Okay, can you describe that for us, please?
Yeah, so the band had just passed us, red SUV going, again, this is just an estimate, maybe 30, 40 miles an hour, just went straight over the Waukesha South Band, and it's not like it stopped. I mean, it went over. I saw the red SUV, looked like it went in the air like over a pretty big object, and it just was like a big old speed bump and kept going.
Okay. You saw that from your position on the side of the road?
Yes.
At some point, did you get up and leave your position?
I did. So when the red SUV had pretty much gone through the band, my reaction was to run after the car, and honestly was trying to get into it to stop it. That was just my perspective on it.
Okay.
I did not get into the SUV.
Were you able to catch it?
No. It drove off at a pretty quick speed after it went through the band.
And you were running on foot?
Correct.
Okay. Prior to the SUV hitting the students in the band, did you hear the horn on the vehicle honking at all?
I did not.
As the vehicle struck students in the band, did you ever see the vehicle stop?
I did not. It would have slowed down a little bit as it hit people, but it did not slow down when it hit the band and then when it drove off.
Okay. I'd like to put up exhibit number 25, please, for the witness.
Go ahead.
And is there anything on your screen in front of you, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Is this 25? Okay. And you see the video that's showing on your screen in front of you, sir?
Yes.
Is this a video that you've seen before?
Yes, it is.
And do you believe this is a true and accurate representation of the events as you saw them on November 21 of 2021?
Yes.
Like to admit number 25 and permission to play it for the jury?
Anything, Mr. Brooks?
Objection is hearsay. How is everybody seeing the videos before seeing them now?
You can ask that on cross-exam, sir. But the foundation has been laid and Exhibit 25 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
All right, we're going to put it up, and then before we play anything, I'd ask if you could point out for the jury the approximate area where you and your family were stationed.
How do you want me to do that?
That's a touch screen in front of you. That's a good question.
Oh.
You can either circle or mark with an X, or there's a dot you can put there, whatever.
Yeah.
Just the general area where you were standing.
Somewhere over here.
Okay. And you remember seeing the parade approaching then from your left?
Yes.
I'm sorry, the band, excuse me.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and play this with volume, please. Pause. Okay, we paused at the 41-second mark. When do you first recall seeing that red SUV? Was it about this point or was it back further?
Pretty much right when it rounded the Remax van.
Okay. And then do you remember seeing it come around the left side of the Remax van and then veer to the right in front of the Remax van?
Yes.
And now it's headed in the direction of where you and your family are?
Correct.
Do you remember that, sir?
Yes.
What were you thinking during this?
Really what's going on. Normally you don't see a vehicle going that quick down a parade route.
Okay. Go ahead and continue playing, please.
Oh my God. Oh my fucking God.
Okay, I'm going to ask, we're going to play it again a little bit slower, and I want you to point out the point where you yourself get up and run after the red SUV, okay?
Okay.
Before you have him do that, for the record, how long is this video?
Thank you, Judge. The video is exactly 1 minute in duration.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So play it at half speed, please. No sound, because with half speed, the sound is annoying.
You can pause it right there.
Okay, we're paused at the 48-second mark. You see yourself, sir?
I do.
Where are you?
You want me to circle
Circle it. You've just run out into the middle of the street, is that right? Or towards the middle of the street?
Yes.
Where were you going?
Chasing after the car.
What were you going to do if you caught it?
Wanted to stop it.
Try and stop it.
Yep.
You described on your direct testimony the seeing the car look like it was going over speed bumps, is that right?
Yes.
Is that what's shown in this exhibit number 25?
Yes.
In fact, it was going over people, not speed bumps.
Correct. Yes.
Keep playing, I want to see where you go. And we played it to the end just for the record. You never were able to catch up,
No.
but towards the end of that video, you're off screen. We can't see you anymore.
Yes.
About how far down did you chase that SUV, sir?
It had to have been pretty far down the road. I don't have an exact that I can remember, but I ran for a pretty good amount of time. It wasn't quite to the 5 corners,
Okay.
but it was a pretty good distance.
And any point along the way, did you notice the SUV stop?
I did not know.
Did you see the driver of the SUV get out and check on any of the people that he had just run over?
No.
Did you get a good look at the driver?
I didn't get a good look at the driver, no.
Okay.
That I can remember.
Sure. After you chased the SUV but were not able to catch it, did you make your way back towards your family?
I did.
Did you encounter injured people along the way?
Yes, many of them.
And were they mostly from the school band or others?
Mainly from the South Band.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I don't have any other questions, sir.
All right, thank you. Mr. Brooks, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. Do you recall being interviewed by a Detective Carpenter on November 24th of 2021?
I do remember being interviewed by a detective, yes.
Any idea why it took a few days for you to be interviewed?
Just the nature of the incident. I'm sure they had a lot to get through. So I just wanted to wait a little bit, and it wasn't something that I was going to do. Yeah.
When you say it wasn't something that you was going to do, what are you referring to?
Just seek some counsel from some mentors. After talking with them, they had advised that I should make a statement.
So it would be fair to say that you didn't intend on making a report.
That is correct.
Can you explain why?
Just didn't feel comfortable with it.
Would it be fair to say that the events that you witnessed would make anyone want to make a report? Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Do you recall about what time you arrived at the parade?
I do not.
Do you recall what time you left?
I do not.
You stated earlier that you were with family. Is that correct?
Yes.
Were you or any of your family members injured in the incident?
No.
I'm looking at the police report here. You did state that you didn't get a description of the driver, correct?
Yes.
Did you get a license plate number?
I did not.
Do you recall if there was any tint on the vehicle that you saw?
Not in the front, no.
What do you mean by not in the front?
I did not see any tint on the front windows or the passenger side window. From what I could remember, there was tint on the back windows.
So it would be fair to say that you couldn't see into the back of the vehicle, correct?
Correct.
Do you recall how many occupants were in the vehicle?
Yes.
Even though you couldn't see the entire inside of the vehicle?
Yes.
Do you recall saying in your report that, or saying in the report that was reported by Detective Carpenter, that, well, I'm going to read it what it says. He indicated that after the vehicle struck the south band, he chased it and got to within approximately an arm's reach of the vehicle. Do you recall that?
I do not.
Any reason why that would be reported?
A lot happening at that moment during that whole incident. It very well just could have been what I had thought, and it does go out of frame, so I can't exactly remember what happens once the video and myself goes out of frame.
Do you recall being at arm's length from the vehicle?
I cannot remember right now, no.
At what point did you see the vehicle slow down?
As it went over Waukesha South Band.
And what did the vehicle do after that?
It sped up.
Do you recall describing the acceleration as rapid?
Yes.
Would you say that the video that we just saw depicts a rapid acceleration?
Yes.
Do you recall stating that it seems as if the driver of the vehicle was hitting the gas as hard as he could?
Yes.
And how would you be able to tell that?
The nature of a vehicle going over people, you would think that the gas pedal would not be pushed as you're going over people. And as the car continued, the red SUV continued went over the Waukesha South band and continued to accelerate. I could only imagine that the gas pedal was being pushed very hard after just going over people.
So you were making an assumption. Would that be fair to say?
I wouldn't say it was an assumption, just from driving a vehicle, knowing what happens when you go over a large object, it typically slows the car down. And in order to speed it back up, the only thing that you can do is hit the gas pedal.
You can hit the gas pedal, or would you hit the gas pedal as hard as you could?
From what I remembered, it looked like the gas pedal was being hit hard. The vehicle accelerated very quickly.
Would it be fair to say that you would have to be present in the vehicle to tell if the gas pedal was pushed hard, extremely hard, as you say?
No.
Or as hard as you could?
No.
You would be able to tell that from an outside observation?
Yes.
Did you observe the route of the vehicle after, well, the video shows you kind of go off the screen, and did you observe where the vehicle went at that point?
Yes.
Did it continue straight, or did it turn?
Continue down the parade route.
Do you recall about how far?
No.
Do you recall seeing any brake lights?
No.
Even when it briefly slowed down?
That would be correct.
So would it be fair to say that in order to slow a vehicle down, you have to brake?
Not necessarily.
And what is the necessarily?
Hitting something or going over something naturally will slow a vehicle down.
So how far would you estimate that the vehicle was traveling before it slowed down?
I can't remember that.
Can you pull up Exhibit 25 again? For the witness.
Go ahead. Do you want it to the jury or just to the witness?
To everybody.
Okay. There you go.
Is the sound up?
You want to play it all the way through?
Can you play it from about 30 seconds?
Is that about right?
Yeah, that's about right.
The counter reads 29 seconds at this point, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Well, roughly around that area. Pause right there. From your perspective, is the sound that you just heard, could that have been a horn?
Could we replay it?
Are you able to answer just based on what you heard?
No.
You did state that you didn't hear any horn, correct?
Correct.
It would be fair to say that it was pretty loud at that point in the parade, correct?
Yeah.
Do you think the noise would have impaired your hearing in any way at that point in time?
No.
So it would be fair to say that you would have been able to hear anything coming towards your area where you were sitting, or anything that was coming towards your area from the band, from the parade, rather?
I don't understand your question.
Would you have heard if there was anything unusually loud or just loud enough? Would you have heard it from where you were seated at?
I don't know how to answer that.
Is it possible that a horn could have been beat that you didn't hear?
No, horns are pretty loud. It would have been heard.
Even over all the noise of the parade and the band and the people and you would have been able to clearly hear?
Yes.
Do you recall what you saw the driver doing at the time that it passed the area that you were seated at?
Driving the car. That's the
Did
best
you
answer.
observe any other actions by the driver?
No. Just focused on the road that was ahead of him.
And there's nothing about the description that stood out to you or caught your eye that maybe you could recall?
In regards to what?
The description of the driver.
I could tell there was one person in the car. I could see it. They were wearing some sort of hat or sweatshirt. That was about it.
And after the vehicle passed where you were seated at, and about how long did you stay at the parade after what you saw?
I wouldn't be able to remember that.
Did you attempt to help anyone injured or check for your family here?
At that point, when I started running back, there were a lot of bodies on the ground. And from the looks of it, there was already people helping them. So my next reaction was get back to my family.
So with all the people that appeared to be injured, you didn't stop to render any aid to any one of them?
Objection, argumentative, Your Honor.
Grounds.
Sustained. Next question, please.
Was there anything else about the vehicle that stuck out to you?
No.
Did you see any news reports about the incident once you got your family home?
I did not.
Did you hear about it in the days after? Did you hear about anything related to the event in the days after? Leading up to your November 24th interview with Detective Carpenter?
I'm sure I had saw general things. We really did not watch the TV too much. There was just a lot of emotional stuff that we were just working through.
So it'd be fair to say you purposely didn't watch news reports
Yes.
that were related to the incident?
We don't really watch news to begin with, but this just kind of made that a little bit more, that we didn't turn the TV on, so we did not watch much news.
So at any time, did you see any mug shot or any type of pictures related to this suspected driver?
I did not know.
At any time, do you recall hearing the name of the alleged defendant or suspect?
At some point in time, yes, I did hear the name.
Was that really quickly after the incident, or had it been some time that passed before you heard that?
There was a little bit of time that had passed before I heard it.
And you yourself didn't file a claim in this matter, did you?
Objection, relevance.
Grounds.
If you can be a little more specific, if you mean a claim related to any, related to the parade.
Did you make a claim of being an injured party, or did anybody in your family make a claim of being an injured party?
No.
You made reference to seeing the Exhibit 25 video before your testimony today, correct?
Could you say that again?
You made reference earlier that you had saw the video that was shown before you testified today, correct?
Yes.
About how many times have you saw the video before today?
Once.
So today was your second time seeing the same video.
Correct.
Is there anything that brought back or help you recall anything that you may have missed when you did your initial report? Seeing the video for a second time?
Could you ask that once more?
Seeing the video just now for the second time, did it bring back any memory that you may have not reported before, or did it bring back something that you may have missed, overlooked?
Not that I know of or remember, no.
Were you aware that you might be called to testify in this matter?
Yes.
So it'd be fair to say that you were anticipating being a witness?
No.
Whom were you contacted by about being a witness in this matter?
I wouldn't know. The Waukesha district attorney.
Let the record reflect that the witness made a hand gesture towards the prosecution table.
Yes.
The record will so reflect.
Thank you.
So it would be fair to say that you were contacted about testifying in this matter directly from the Waukesha district attorney's office?
Yes.
Do you know who the plaintiff is in this matter? Your
Objection, irrelevant.
grounds.
Not relevant, sustained. Next question.
Are you aware of any injured party or plaintiff in this matter?
I am not.
You are not?
That's correct.
Have you read or seen any complaint besides your own in this matter?
You mean a statement, or do you mean a criminal complaint?
A complaint, any complaint.
Object to vagueness and relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained. You can try to rephrase it if you would like. I'm sustaining it as to the form of the question, sir.
Have you seen any other statements by any parties other than yourself in relation to this incident?
No.
Are you the only person present from your family that made a statement or a report?
Objection, relevance.
Grounds.
Overruled.
His family was there.
Overruled. He may answer if anyone else in his family provided a statement.
No, I did not.
You stated earlier that it was difficult. Well, you stated that you don't really watch the news to begin with, but the incident made it more difficult to do that, correct?
A little bit, yes.
Would that be said of your family as well?
Yes.
So there was some type of impact
In regards to what?
in regards to being present at the parade.
Yes, there was a huge emotional impact on our family.
Do you know of any reason why no one besides yourself made a report?
Objection, argumentative.
Grounds.
Irrelevant.
Sustained.
Grounds.
Next question.
So as far as you know, you've never seen or interacted with the plaintiff in this manner.
Objection.
Grounds.
Irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained. Under 90611, new topic, please. One not already covered.
Do you recall the motion of the vehicle as it passed where you were seated?
Withdraw the objection. He clarified at what location he was referring to.
Thank you.
In regards to what motion?
How the vehicle was moving, driving?
Where I was sitting, it would have been my left side, and the car was approaching from my left side, driving. I don't know north, south, east, all that stuff, but right SUV on my left proceeded to go through on my right down Main Street.
From where you were seated, were you seated to where there were people in front, standing in front of where you were seated?
Yes, my family.
Anybody else besides your family?
Nope, just my family.
It would be fair to say from the video that there were quite a few people standing in the general area where you were seated at. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, most of the people in front of me were kids, so they were littler than me.
Did you observe any one of those kids being struck?
No.
So it'd be fair to say that the vehicle did not strike anybody that was seated on the curb right there where you were at?
Specifically right where I was at, no.
In your opinion, after observing people struck, in your opinion, how did the vehicle miss the people that were seated directly in front of you?
Objection beyond the
Grounds.
scope of beyond the scope of
Grounds.
knowledge and irrelevant.
Grounds.
Mr. Brooks, let her state her objection without interruption. The objection is sustained. Next question.
So would it be fair to say that the only people you observed being struck was the Waukesha South Band?
Yes.
Approximately how many people would you say by estimate?
Right now I can't remember. It would be a handful.
Would it be fair to say that there were hundreds, even thousands of people present for the parade?
Yes.
And you have only observed a handful of people struck?
Waukesha South's band is a pretty large band, and the red SUV went right through it. If I had to estimate 10, maybe 15, I wouldn't know the exact number that were struck by the SUV.
Would it be fair to say that that number is fairly low to all the people that was in the area at the time?
Objection argumentative, Your Honor.
Grounds.
Sustained as to the form of the question. Mr. Brooks, next question.
Would it, next question or rephrase?
Well, I sustained it. You can ask your next question.
Would you identify yourself as an injured party in this matter?
Objection asked and answered.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Would you identify as an injured party in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained. Asked and answered. Mr. Brooks, under 90611, that was also not a question I would allow to be asked. So please move on.
No further questions.
May redirect.
Just very briefly, I'm going to ask the clerk to please turn the monitors back on, Exhibit 25. Mr. Brooks had previously asked this to be paused. It's paused at the 37-second mark.
And I do not recognize that name, nor do I consent to being called by it.
Your objection is noted. Go ahead, Attorney Opper.
I'm going to ask Ms. Gussie to please continue playing it starting at the 37-second mark, and then I'm going to ask you to pause
Objection,
it.
what is the relevancy of it being played from the 37-second mark?
Your objection is noted. It's overruled. Was that with or without sound?
With sound is fine. Yes, please, sound.
Go ahead.
Pause. We're stopped at the 42-second mark. Mr. Jewell, at this point, would you say the SUV is very close to you and your family?
Yes.
At this point, did you hear the SUV honking its horn in any manner?
No.
Would you say the SUV is very close to the vehicle in the middle of the road containing the Waukesha Self mascot?
Yes.
Would you also say it's very close to the two people standing in the street, one wearing a Santa hat and the other, I think, is dressed like a lion or some type of character?
Yes.
Did you hear the horn honking at this location, sir?
No.
The band has already passed you to your right down the street, correct?
Yes.
Was there any music being played from the Remax
Not-
vehicle that you recall?
Not that I remember, no.
Just the hot air balloon?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Those are all my questions, and I'm stopping it at the 42-second mark, Your Honor.
Thank you. Sir, you may step down.
Could Mr. Jewell please be excused, Your Honor?
He may.
We do need a brief discussion outside the presence of the jury before our next witness, Your Honor.
Okay, very well. I'll excuse the jury. I'll rise for the jury. Thank you. Please be seated. All right, go ahead, Attorney Opper.
Actually, I'll cover this, Judge.
Very well, go ahead.
The next witness is Thomas Green. This is the witness that we previously raised the issue about having one prior criminal conviction. It's from 2005. A CCAP printout was provided to the defendant for the misdemeanor offense of criminal trespass. The offense date is from 17 years ago. The witness was 21 years old at that time. He's now 38. Has no other intervening criminal convictions. Was not originally a crime of deception. I believe that it's not relevant for purposes of impeachment. I'd ask the court to exclude that conviction from this witness's testimony.
Mr. Brooks, do you have a legal argument on that?
Yes, I do. The main thing is this issue wasn't really discussed to this length until it was time for this witness to be called to the stand.
Well, that's when I said I would take it up, is prior to that witness's testimony. I even gave you the statute that is at issue, and it's 906.09, impeachment by evidence of conviction of crime or adjudication of delinquency.
Here's
Pull
why.
the statute book out, and it's in there. If you want to review it quickly, I'll give you an opportunity, but I do need to address this, and now is the proper time.
90.
6.09. There's a general rule in sub 1 and the exclusions under sub 2 and the factors for the court to consider in evaluating whether to admit evidence of a prior conviction for the purpose of attacking a witness's truthful character.
I see it.
Before I have you address it, let me ask the state this. How long do you anticipate your direct examination to be?
10 minutes.
All right. So someone we could and should be able to get through fairly quickly,
Yes.
both for direct and cross. All right, go ahead, Mr. Brooks. What's your argument?
I'm still. I wanted to make sure I heard what you said, so I stopped reading briefly. I guess I would, from what I've read so far, I would go to 906.09 sub 2. It would be kind of problematic, and I'll say that because if I was going to take the stand, my record would be brought up. And some things on my record was done 20-something years ago, but it would still have bearing. So I believe that it should be fair. It should be the same. I believe that if the witness knew that there was a possibility that they would give testimony and agreed to give testimony, then they also agreed that their credibility can be questioned. I think that's really a fundamental thing to be able to cross-examine on my part would be to see if they're credible, to see that they would honor their oath that they give in the court to be truthful. And part of being able to ask them questions like this pertaining to a criminal conviction would be relevant.
You do understand the inquiry is limited to the following. Have you been convicted of a crime? The answer I allow is yes. They would say yes. The follow-up would be, if so, how many times? And in this case, my understanding is there's just one. Don't get into the specifics of it. That's not proper questioning for impeachment. Do you understand that?
I follow.
All right, let me hear from the state in response.
So again, looking at the factors under 90609 sub 2, just about every factor weighs in favor of not informing the jury of this conviction. We've got a conviction date of April 4th of 2006. So we've got, again, well over a decade before the conviction. We've got whether this witness was rehabilitated or pardoned. According to the CCAP records, there was a probation sentence and probation was discharged, so there's no indication that this witness was ever revoked from probation, and there's no re-offending evidence or any new cases or any new convictions. So that, again, that factor weighs in favor of not including this. Gravity of the crime, this is an entry into a locked building or construction site, contrary to 943.15 sub 1, so it's a misdemeanor offense, so that weighs in favor of not including it. It does not, on its face, involve any dishonesty or false statements by the witness. Frequency of the conviction, again, it's just the one. And in terms of any other relevant factors, as an offer of proof, I'll inform the court that this witness is going to testify about his and his family's presence near the Martha Merrill's bookstore on the day of the parade, the positioning of his children, and what he remembers in terms of the SUV driving along the parade route and clipping his two children who were seated on the curb watching the parade. There's 2 videos of the driving conduct in question. They are not they're not as clear as some of the videos we showed with the band. In fact, one of them is the video we showed with the band, and you can see spectators sitting on the side of the road. But in terms of impeaching the witness, I think Mr. Brooks should be fine just relying on the videos in asking the witness about that.
I object still. Entering into anything is deceptive in nature. Just right off the bat, that's deceptive in nature. Why would you enter into something that you're obviously not supposed to be into? You entered into something because you were not supposed to be in there. That's deceptive in nature. It's also not enough information that would suggest that the probation wasn't discharged by revocation. It's not clear. And also, the prosecution just stated on record that they will only need about 10 minutes of testimony from this witness, but now they're talking about videos. That seems like it's going to be a little bit more than 10 minutes. I feel that I should be able to at least question the credibility of this witness at the very minimum.
Well, you would be able to question the credibility just through cross-examination, but let me get to the heart of this issue. And the general rule is as follows. For the purpose of attacking character for truthfulness, a witness may be asked whether the witness has ever been convicted of a crime or adjudicated delinquent, and the number of such convictions or adjudications. If the witness's answers are consistent with the previous determination of the court under sub 3, then no further inquiry may be made unless it is for the purpose of rehabilitating the witness's character for truthfulness. The sub 2 then of this statute talks about exclusion. It says evidence of a conviction of a crime or an adjudication of delinquency may be excluded if its probative value is substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice. Factors for a court to consider in evaluating whether to admit evidence of prior convictions for the purpose of attacking a witness's truthful character include the lapse of time since the conviction, the rehabilitation or pardon of the person convicted, the gravity of the crime, the involvement of dishonesty or false statement in the crime, the frequency of the convictions, and any other relevant factors. So as I consider all of that, I would include in the any other relevant factors that this is a witness that has been brought to testify by the state against the accused. This conviction is for a misdemeanor offense of criminal. Can I have the exact? I wrote down criminal trespass, but I just want to make sure I have it accurate.
Yes, the statute in question is 943.15 sub 1. and it's listed on CCAP as an entry into/onto building /construction site/room.
All right, so a version of criminal trespass. All right. Apparently, the particular witness, this was 17 plus years ago. The witness was 21 years of age, was sentenced to probation. Nothing on the record before this court suggests that probation was revoked. I'm not aware of any reoffending, meaning that's the only conviction for this witness. This is a witness in this case who will apparently testify about where he was seated with his family in relation to the driving of the red SUV through the parade in front of Martha Merrill Bookstore. So clearly relevant to the case and the charges at hand. When looking at whether evidence of a conviction of a crime may be excluded, and specifically in this case, if its probative value is substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice. I think sometimes we skip over that part of the statute, which is the standard this court must look at, not just the factors, but whether in light of those factors, is the probative value substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice. As I commented on earlier, the nature of the inquiry is very limited. It's, have you been convicted of a crime? Yes or no? And then how many times? And in that case, it would be, in this case, it would be 1. In light of that, and the other factor that I noted, even though there's some factors that I could say would warrant exclusion, I think it's best to err on the side of caution, as we sometimes say, and allow the witness to be questioned about this prior conviction under the statute, and that is the very limited inquiry of have you been convicted of a crime? The answer should be yes, and then how many times? 1, and that's it. Mr. Brooks, you may ask a single follow-up on that is it true you've been convicted of 1 crime? But we're not going to spend a lot of time on that. That's going to be my caveat to all of this. You cannot ask repeated questions of this witness about that. The jury will further get instructed later on about the purpose of a prior conviction, that it bears solely on credibility, and then ultimately it's up to the jury to determine whether or what to believe. So that's my ruling on this. Now with that, it's now 4:15. Would you like the witness to testify today?
Yes.
All right. Any questions, Mr. Brooks?
No, I was just gonna say, what if I didn't really want to go into it? What if I just wanted one question just to say, have you ever been convicted of a crime, and just left it at that?
That's fine. I'm sure the state's going to ask the questions first, though. That's typically how this goes. All right. Bring the jury out.
I just need a moment to
Understood.
this.
Understood. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. And Rich, you may call your next witness.
State call Thomas Green.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Green. If you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is on my right, up a riser. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand. My clerk, Teresa, who's on my left, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. First thing I will have you do is to state your first and last names for the record and spell each.
Thomas Green, Thomas Greene.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Mr. Green, what city or village do you live in?
The town of Merton.
Were you at the Waukesha Christmas Parade on November 21st of 2021?
Yes.
Who were you with at the parade?
I was with my wife and 3 children.
Okay. Do you remember where you were along the parade route?
I know I was across the street from a bookstore.
Okay. I'm going to ask that we project Exhibit 15 for everybody, please.
15. Go ahead.
And could we zoom in on the middle of the screen there? Down a little bit. Right there. Okay. Do you see your kids' names anywhere on that exhibit?
Yes, I do.
Could you, that's a touch screen in front of you. Could you circle them for me? Okay. Do you see the line connecting those names to an orange star?
Yes, I do.
And then can we zoom out one click, please? Do you recognize the neighborhood depicted in this map?
Kind of, yes.
Do you know what it is?
Downtown Waukesha.
Okay. Does that orange star with the line to your kids' names, does that accurately reflect where you were positioned along the parade route?
Yes.
Could we next pull up exhibit number 29, just for the witness?
Go ahead.
Do you see an image in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, can you describe for us what we're looking at?
We were looking at a intersection where me, my wife, and my kids were sitting during the parade.
Does this accurately depict the intersection, minus all the people, as it was set up on the afternoon of November 21st, 2021?
Yes.
Move exhibit 29 into evidence and ask for permission to publish.
Objection.
Overruled. Exhibit 29 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
Can we get rid of that side stuff? Could you use the touchscreen in front of you to draw a circle or an oval around the area where you and your family were standing? And can we please save this annotation as Exhibit 29A? And I would move that into the record, please.
29A will be saved and ultimately printed, and then it's received as well.
We could take that down then. Can you describe for us what happened, what you observed that afternoon as you were watching the Christmas parade?
Yes, we were just watching the Christmas parade as we normally do, go to lots of parades as a family. And I heard a loud crash noise to my right, and I looked that way. And then I seen a car running over the marching band. And as soon as the car had ran over the marching band, it swerved towards me and my family, and then just proceeded on down the parade route.
Down Main Street?
Yep.
Okay. Can you describe for us how you, your wife, and your children were positioned
We were facing the parade, straight on.
Where was your wife in relation to you?
To my left,
Were you standing or sitting?
standing.
Facing the parade route, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay. Where were your kids in relation to you?
In front of me,
How many kids do you have?
3.
And which of the 3 kids were in front of you?
Charlie and Lily were in front of me, sitting on a bench,
Okay, what kind of bench?
fold-out bench.
How far away from you were they?
Maybe 3 feet.
If you wanted to reach out and touch them, could you have?
Yes.
How old was Charlie back in November of 2021?
Objection irrelevant.
Overruled.
9.
And what about Lily? How old was she back then?
Objection relevant.
Overruled.
11.
What happened as the vehicle that you described approached your family?
It swerved towards us.
Can you describe the direction of travel when you say swerve?
It, like cardinal direction.
Or even left and right? However you can describe it.
I mean, we were.
The witness.
Overruled. He may answer the question.
We were facing the parade route, and it swerved towards us.
Okay.
And just for the record, he used his right hand in a gesture towards him, almost like a cupping motion towards him. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm going to ask to display Exhibit 22 for the witness only.
Go ahead.
And we'll, can we start around the 12-second mark, please? I'm just going to play a few seconds for you to see if you can identify what's happening in the video, okay? So we'll, let's turn this, make sure the sound's off. It is. All right, let's play from 11 seconds. And pause at 19 seconds. Do you recognize that portion of the video you just watched?
Yes.
What does it show?
It shows where the SUV had ran over the band where I had first heard it coming, and then it's swerving towards my family.
So I would ask that we publish that portion of the video from 12 seconds to 19 seconds.
Go ahead.
And let's play that at a reduced speed of about 50%, please. No sound. Pause. We've paused at 21 seconds. Can you circle for us the area where you and your family were at this moment in time?
Objection. I thought it was being played till 19 seconds.
Your objection's noted. It's overruled. Go ahead, circle, sir.
And could we please have a saved screen grab of that and mark it as Exhibit 22A and move it into evidence?
22A is received. It will be marked and printed later.
Could we show for the witness only Exhibit 27, please? Do you see a video on your screen?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna play a few seconds and let you recognize it. Paused at 5 seconds. Do you recognize that video?
Yes.
What does it show?
Looks like the SUV right after it ran into my kids.
Move exhibit, excuse me, is that video an accurate depiction of how you saw the events unfold that afternoon?
Yes.
I move Exhibit 27 into evidence and ask to publish.
Objections, hearsay.
Exhibit 27 is received, permission to publish is granted.
We'll play this once all the way through. It's 16 seconds. There's no audio. Okay, we can take that down. The area of that video that's relevant to you and your family would be the top left portion, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know whether your two kids were struck by the vehicle?
Yes, they were.
Okay. And that's consistent with where they were sitting along the curb?
Yes.
All right. I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Brooks.
You stated that all the videos you just saw were accurate depictions of what you observed that day, correct?
Yes.
Have you seen any of these videos before today?
No.
So today is your first time seeing any of this footage?
Yes.
Mr. Green, have you ever been convicted of a crime?
Yes.
Do you remember what you did when the vehicle passed you?
Yes.
You state for the record what you did immediately following the vehicle passing you?
I ran to see if my kids were okay.
You stated that your wife was standing to your left. Do you recall what she did?
No, I don't.
Do you recall checking to see if your wife was okay?
No, I don't.
Do you recall getting a look at the driver of the vehicle?
Yes, I do.
And what did you see?
I seen somebody in a hoodie with dark skin.
Did you observe anyone else in the vehicle?
No, I did not.
Could you see the entire vehicle? Passenger seat and back seats?
I don't recall seeing anybody in the back seats. The windows were tinted.
So it would be fair to say if there was somebody seated in the back, you wouldn't have seen them.
I couldn't say.
Did you get a license plate number of the vehicle?
No, I did not.
From your opinion, about how fast would you say the vehicle was traveling?
Hard to say.
After the vehicle passed you, did you observe it strike anyone else?
No, I did not.
Were you injured during the incident in any way?
No, I was not.
Was your wife injured in any way during the incident?
No, she was not.
Do you recall about how long you were at the parade before the incident happened?
I do not.
Do you recall about how long you stayed after the incident?
No longer than 3 minutes.
So you got right out of there immediately after.
Yes.
Do you recall making a report of what happened at the incident?
No.
You don't recall talking to Officer Sepakan?
I did not talk to anybody at the incident.
You don't recall making any police report to what happened?
Not at the incident, no.
In the days following the incident, did you make any report?
Yes, I did.
Do you recall who the officer was that you reported the incident to?
No, I do not.
So earlier you said that you heard a crash to your right, which alerted you to the vehicle approaching. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Do you know what that crash was?
The vehicle hitting the band.
So before you heard that crash, you wasn't alerted to the presence of a vehicle approaching?
No, I was not.
Would it be fair to say that it was really loud during the parade at that time?
Yes.
Do you recall in the report that you made that you initially thought the vehicle was part of the parade and it was an accident?
Yes.
So it's fair to say from when you first saw the vehicle approaching that that's what you thought?
Yes.
Do you recall the vehicle swerving?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember what direction the vehicle swerved in?
To the left, towards me and my family.
And did it swerve away from your family at that point?
After it hit my family, yes.
Do you remember stating that you were not sure if the people being run over were part of the parade or guests watching the parade?
I do not recall making that statement, no.
Do you recall the make or model of the SUV?
No, I do not.
Do you recall the license plate number of the SUV?
No, I do not.
Do you remember stating that when you saw the SUV coming, you froze?
Yes.
And do you remember saying that you stared directly at it as it was driving towards you?
Yes.
And you didn't get an accurate description of the driver?
I had already stated that I seen a tan-skinned person with a hood on.
You said dark skin.
Objection. That's not a question and argumentative.
Oh, is there a
Brown.
question, Mr. Brooks? You can't testify, but you can question him. So your last statement I'll
Did you-
strike. Ask your question.
Did you not state earlier that you saw a dark skinned driver?
Yes.
And did you now just state that you saw a tan skinned driver?
They both seem the same to me.
Would that be yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
So from your perspective, dark skin and tan skin is the same?
Objection. Asked and answered.
Grounds.
Argumentative. Next question. You can rephrase.
What would you consider to be dark skin?
Objection. Relevance.
Grounds.
Overruled. You may answer.
Hard to say.
What would you consider to be tan skin?
Darker than Caucasian, I guess.
Would it be fair to say that there is different types of shades of color to people? Would that be fair to say?
I'll
Yes.
stipulate to that.
He answered the question. His answer may stand.
Do you recall if the driver was doing anything, gesturing or doing anything?
No.
Do you recall hearing gunshots?
No.
Any idea why that would be in the report?
Objection. Lacks
Grounds.
foundation.
Sustained as to the form of the question. It lacks foundation.
Do you recall stating that, well, let me read from the report. Thomas stated they heard gunshots and he picked up Charles and they ran back to their vehicle. Do you recall making that statement?
I recall an officer coming down the street yelling gunshots fired.
Any idea why you would be mistaken in your report that you heard the gunshots?
Objection. Mischaracterizes.
Grounds.
Sustained. Lack of foundation as to the form of the question.
I'm reading directly from the report now. Directly from the report.
That's not the issue, Mr. Brooks. The issue is it his statement or a summary of his statement? Because that makes a difference to the foundation you have to lay.
It does not say summary.
I'll object if that was a question for the witness. If it was an argument with the court, I'll withdraw that objection.
I believe it was a statement to the court. I don't know what you're looking at. But if it's a witness statement, typically there's something either signed, sometimes police officers summarize what witnesses say to them, so that's what I'm referring to as a summary. And if it's in a summary, typically if it's a direct attribution to a witness, it's in quotes. So with that, ask your question.
This is not in quotes, so I'm going to assume this is summary. Do you remember stating in your summary report that you heard gunshots?
No.
Do you recall if the injuries suffered by your family were broken bones?
They were not.
So were they bruises?
Yes.
About how long would you say that your family was treated at the hospital before being released?
Hard to say.
Was it a significant amount of time, a few hours?
A few hours, yes.
But to your recollection, they were treated and then released?
Yes.
Who is Nicole?
My wife.
Do you recall Nicole making any statements to law enforcement?
She made one, yes.
Do you recall Nicole stating that she heard gunshots?
No, I do not.
Grounds.
Then an objection, it calls for hearsay, it's sustained. Any answer that he gave is struck. Jury shall disregard it.
Your Honor, I'm also reading this from the summary.
Question him about what he knows, not what other people said to him.
No, the question was, did he know? Do you recall her saying that she heard gunshots?
You're asking him to confirm hearsay, so it's sustained. Next question or rephrase. Like, are you aware?
Are you aware if she heard gunshots or not?
I'm not aware.
Is it fair to say that right after that you ran straight to your vehicle?
Right after what?
Right after the incident.
There was a slight delay,
And what was that delay?
seeing if our kids were okay.
And then from that, straight to the vehicle.
After the officer came running down the street saying shots fired, we picked up our kids and ran.
So you decided to leave after you heard an officer saying shots fired, or because of the incident at the parade?
After the officer said shots fired.
So would it be fair to say that you weren't initially inclined to leave because of the incident, but because of the shots fired?
Objection.
Grounds.
Overruled. He may answer. And then move on.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Would it be fair to say that you were prompted to leave because of the shots fired and not the incident that happened at the parade?
I don't really understand what you're asking.
What prompted you to leave?
When the officer said shots fired.
So the incident that happened didn't prompt you to leave?
Not,
Grounds.
Overruled. He may answer if he understands the question.
we did not want to leave right away because my son said he couldn't feel his legs. And there was a woman there helping us that said he might have a back injury, that we should not move him.
To your recollection, was that woman a nurse or a medical professional?
I don't know.
Would it be fair to say that she was making an assumption?
I don't know.
Do you recall the woman's name?
No, I don't.
Do you recall if she was a spectator or someone marching or
I don't know.
do you recall the description of the woman that told you not to move your child?
I'll object. Relevance.
Grounds.
Overruled. He may answer.
Caucasian, blonde hair.
So it'd be fair to say she seemed pretty concerned.
Very concerned.
So why would you not immediately leave at that point?
Because I didn't know if he had a back injury or what the extent of his injuries were. And if it was a spinal injury, I didn't want to pick him up.
Did you try to make a call for medical attention at that point?
I did not.
And what prompted you not to seek medical attention if you had a assumption that the injuries could be severe?
This all happened within about a 2-second time frame. I mean, it was so fast. Everything was chaotic, and I mean, there wasn't really time to do anything besides try to see if my kids were okay, and try to compose myself to take care of them.
So it would be fair to say that you were pretty much like just frozen. You didn't know what to do and how to go about doing it.
Yes.
Do you recall your wife trying to call for medical attention?
No.
Do you recall anyone that you were standing next to or in front of attempting to call medical attention?
No.
Do you recall saying in the summarized report this statement? Thomas stated Charles was laying on his back and had blacked out.
To my recollection, yes.
You recall saying that to the officer?
I recall my son saying that.
Do you recall making that statement to the officer that interviewed you?
No, I do not.
Would it be fair to say that that is in the report because you may have said that to the officer,
Yes,
but you don't recall?
I do not.
Did you see any other children struck by the vehicle?
The band.
Any other
Right.
children?
Small children?
Small children?
No, I do not.
But you do recall small children being present, correct?
Yes.
No further questions.
Can you redirect?
Thank you. You testified on cross-examination that you initially thought the vehicle was part of the parade and that it was an accident. Do you recall giving that testimony?
Yes.
Did you continue to think that it was an accident?
Objection. Hearsay.
No, I did.
Hold on. Overruled, he may answer.
Once the vehicle kept going after hitting the band, I realized that it was not a part of the parade.
What about the vehicle's path of travel led you to that realization?
The speed that it had accelerated.
You recall testifying on cross-examination that you don't recall the make and model or license plate number of the SUV? Remember saying
Yes.
that? How many SUVs or vehicles in general did you see striking people during the parade route?
Objection. Irrelevant.
Overruled.
Just the one.
You testified that you'd been convicted of a crime in the past. How many times?
Once.
You testified a little bit about the injuries that your two kids sustained. You had a third child with you at the parade, is that right?
Yes.
And was that third child injured in any way?
She was not.
Okay. Speaking about the two kids who were, do you recall in general what their injuries were?
My son had nerve damage to his knees, and my daughter just had severe bruising.
Do you know what part of their bodies, respectively, were struck?
My son was struck in the knees, and my daughter was struck in her hand.
You remember if it was the right knee or both knees, or the left knee?
It was both knees.
Oh, hold on. Objection is overruled. He may answer. Can you repeat your answer?
Both knees,
And what about your daughter? Which hand?
right hand.
And they were sitting facing the parade route?
Yes.
So what direction would the SUV have traveled from their perspective? Right to left or left to right or something different?
Right to left.
Okay. I think we're all set. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, sir. You may step down.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, may we please excuse this witness?
You may. This will be our last witness today. I will have the instruction for the jury before I excuse you. Do not begin your deliberations and discussion of the case until all the evidence is presented and I have instructed you on the law. Do not discuss this case among yourselves or with anyone else until your final deliberations in the jury room. This order is not limited to face-to-face conversations. It also extends to all forms of electronic communications. Do not use any electronic devices such as a mobile phone or computer, text or instant messaging, or social networking sites to send or receive any information about this case or your experience as a juror. If you come in contact with the parties, lawyers, interpreters, or witnesses, do not speak with them. For their part, the parties, lawyers, interpreters, and witnesses will not contact or speak with the jurors. Do not listen to any conversation about this case. Do not research any information that you personally think might be helpful to you in understanding the issues presented. Do not investigate this case on your own or visit the scene either in person or by any electronic means. Do not read any newspaper reports or listen to any news reports on radio, television, over the internet, or any other electronic application or tool about this trial. Do not consult dictionaries, computers, electronic applications, social media, the internet, or other reference materials for additional information. Do not seek information regarding the public records of any party or witness in this case. Any information you obtain outside the courtroom could be misleading, inaccurate, or incomplete. Relying on this information is unfair because the parties would not have the opportunity to refute, explain, or correct it. Do not communicate with anyone about this trial or your experience as a juror while you are serving on this jury. Do not use a computer, cell phone, or other electronic device, including personal wearable electronics applications or tools with communication capabilities, to share any information about this case. For example, do not communicate by telephone, blog post, email, text message, instant message, social media post, or in any other way on or off the computer. Do not permit anyone to communicate with you about this matter, either in person, electronically, or by any other means. If anyone does so despite your telling them not to, you should report that to me. I appreciate that it is tempting when you go home in the evening to discuss this case with another member of your household, but you may not do so. This case must be decided by you, the jurors, based on the evidence presented in this courtroom. People not serving on this jury have not heard the evidence, and it is improper for them to influence your deliberations and decision in this case. After the trial is completed, you are free to communicate with anyone in any manner. These rules are intended to assure that jurors remain impartial throughout the trial. If any juror has reason to believe that another juror has violated these rules, you should report that to me. If jurors do not comply with these rules, it could result in a new trial involving additional time and significant expense to the parties and the taxpayers. You are to decide the case solely on the evidence offered and received at trial. With that, you are excused for the evening. We'll see you tomorrow morning. All rise for the jury, please. Michael? right, thank you. Be seated. Anything else we need to address today from the state?
Matter, the defendant did raise an issue where he cited 3 cases regarding jurisdiction of this court to hear this matter. I have had the opportunity to review those 3 cases. I am able to address those now if the court wishes.
I'd like to address them tomorrow morning. I frankly need to read them, so. All right, anything else from the state?
No, thank you, Judge.
Mr. Brooks?
Just so I'm clear, on these subpoenas where it says you are further required to bring with you the following, do I leave that blank or what should I put there, just so I'm clear?
I can't give you advice on that. I only wanted you to understand that witnesses would not generally have their police reports or statements made. Those are usually kept by the police department. And so you would need to subpoena the custodian of the police records in order to get copies of that. If you think there's something else that they have that would be in their possession and that's relevant to this case, that would be different. So I hope that adequately answers your question.
I don't understand, but
if there's something specific, you can ask the state if there's some follow-up based upon the discovery that you have. But you should have everyone's statements.
I guess the only thing so should I put bring your statement? I mean,
I don't know that they would have it. What I'm telling you is you should have every statement in that box, or you should subpoena the custodian of the police records, or ask the state if you think you're missing something.
I'm clearly missing something. I don't know what to put right there.
That's the best I can do for you, sir. I can only review them for completeness. The state referenced an objection based upon their review of them. So whether you put that information in or not, that's up to you.
Would it be sufficient to just put
You can leave it blank also, correct, Your Honor?
Yeah, you don't have to fill it in. It can be left blank. If I'm not answering that correct, I don't want you to think you have to put something there.
Yeah, that was my impression. Usually when you're
Got it.
It's the same thing with a job application. You're not supposed to leave nothing blank.
Okay, let me answer it this way because I was not tracking with that one. You only fill that out if there's something specific as it relates to this case that you want them to bring. You're not required to, though.
Okay.
There's a subpoena and there's what's called a subpoena ducis tecum, which means bring something with. If you just want them to come to court and testify, it's just a plain old subpoena. So hopefully that helps.
That is clarification.
All right. I'll address the other issue tomorrow morning. I'll give you some time while you're sitting here to get the subpoenas all filled out so that the state can look at that and start working on getting them served, with the exception of the one that they indicated was out of state, okay? Anything else from you then tonight, Mr. Brooks?
That would be it.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We are in recess.